We are live. I just need to start the audio recording. I got my, hey Sean, I thought you are getting ready for Money Mastermind. If any of you want to get a really good relationship with money, you all heard me talk about my friend Sean Croxton. Well, he has a moneymindacademy.com and you can sign up for his course. It's very good. I've actually done it. You can get on his email list. Sean, what does AF mean? Just kidding. Okay, Shameca, did you find it?
Yep, got it.
All right, cool. Hold on. Let me record the audio. All right, you guys. So welcome. Happy Tuesday. I hope everyone is having an awesome day. I am here today with Shameca, my pal and resident guest here on Coffee is for Closers. And, we are talking about a very interesting topic today. If you own your own business, or if you're like one of the accountants I work with, or if you're like my friend Sean, you actually sell your services, or like Shameca, right? we actually have to sell every single day. And a lot of people, Shameca, actually think like the words manipulation and persuasion as it relates to sales are, really, really bad words, which, I guess thinking about it and hearing those words, they don't sound that good. I rather use like helping people and stuff like that. But, as we were looking at like definitions of what do these words actually mean, persuasion's actually coming from a place of like authenticity. So it was really bizarre. And I said, you know what? I can't wait to hear what Shameca has to say about this topic. But before we get too much in, if you don't know who Shameca is, I am going to let her introduce herself. And she usually wears purple, but today she's wearing peach. And if you're just listening here on the podcast, then you can just imagine this beautiful gold necklace and peach shirt, because usually it's like super bright purple, and that's how I always remember Shameca. But can you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and how can people find you? Because you're awesome, and for whoever really resonates, might want to contact you.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Shameca Tankerson. I am the author of a book called The Power of Persuasion, How to Set Fire to Your Fears and Sell More. And I help ambitious, like totally badass at what they do, women who are grossly undercharging and they know it, to sell more, charge more, and do it with zero doubt and zero apology. So that's what I do. And my hangout spot, guys, really is Facebook. That's where I hang out. I dabble in other stuff, but if you want to really dive into my world, hanging out with me on Facebook, just looking up my name, Shameca Tankerson, you'll find me.
And that's not even a joke, everyone. She is on Facebook. Shameca responds faster on Facebook Messenger than she does in a text message. It's like the most bizarre thing. I actually am not a fan of Facebook Messenger because it's super unorganized, and I have the case of a borderline OCD when it comes to organization. And the Facebook Messenger gives me massive anxiety because it's just not organized. You can't create folders. I have no idea what messages came in where. There's now ads in between all my messages, so it just drives me nuts. But yeah, if you are on Facebook, go to Shameca Tankerson and you can find her. So, Shameca, today we are discussing this difference between persuasion and manipulation, because in sales there is a degree of persuasion, right? And persuasion comes from the fact that you actually do have really good intentions. And persuasion could actually help a client in the best interest, and I have a great story on this from last night. But manipulation really means that your intention is merely just to maximize the sale for your own benefit. And I think that because of manipulation, the sales world has such a bad reputation, right? So I guess where have you seen manipulation versus persuasion used in your area of work and like working with clients?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to answer that. Let me say this, because I think sometimes people have a bad feeling about both persuasion and manipulation, about those words, like you mentioned it earlier. Manipulating, of course, it seems a lot worse, but persuasion, people are like, well, I don't want to persuade people to work with me, but you kind of do. That just means to have influence with people, right? Persuasion. And the difference between the two literally is your intent. What is your intention? So I want to share a couple of areas in what I do, in the work that I do, where I see people manipulating. And sometimes it's unintentional, but oftentimes it is very intentional. And this is why sales get such a bad rap, and people feel so bad about doing it. Like they're afraid to sell because they think that it's automatically that they're manipulating people because they are selling or using sales techniques. And that's just not true. But
I agree.
The first one is this. People who give false scarcity tactics. They use false scarcity tactics. Like, if you don't buy today, the price is going to be X amount of dollars. Or, I'm only taking in 3 people, or this is the last one, when in fact they know if 10 more people said they wanted to come into the program or buy their services, they would most definitely sell it to them. I am not a fan of false scarcity at all, because it doesn't feel good for you. And energetically, I truly believe that your prospects pick up on it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to stick by what I call like your standards, right? If someone wants to like enroll with you today and that's the price, if they talk to you and they make decisions, then great, but you have to stick to your rules. You can't make up new rules every hour based on how you feel, because that's inauthentic. So yeah, people like really change up. Oh my God, this is crazy. Keep going.
Because they feel like if they tell the person they have to decide right now, that it will make them move faster. And let me just share that there's many other ways that you can give people a sense of urgency without manipulating them into doing it by giving them false scarcity.
Let's hear them. What do you do?
I tell the truth first and foremost. And here's the deal. Sales happen at the moment that the client believes that they can have what they say they can have. When they have buy-in on their own dream, their own vision, what they decide they want for themselves, when they buy into that, they are going to buy.
Yes.
So my focus is making sure that I'm talking to someone and getting them to that point where they see the possibility. Period.
Yes, and that's what I do too, right? And there is a part of, I guess you could say, persuasion, but here's how I see it, and tell me what you think. So I see it as like, I was talking to a woman last night, we'll just call her Julie for today. And Julie has been really, wanting to work and get, someone to hold her accountable, right? Like a higher level coach to really help her get past, her biggest thing was the fear of being told no and being like rejected if she were to go out and clients didn't enroll with her or want to work with her. And she helps women who have faith-based businesses, okay? And what was really interesting was I saw something in her that she didn't even see inside of her. And just by actually acknowledging that, that's a form of, like you said, persuasion just in my mind means an influence. And it was an influence to her to see a reflection on herself. And, she made the investment to work with the person, but she had been thinking about it for so long. And here's the thing, and here's maybe where we're actually different, is that if she would have waited or thought about it any longer, she would have wasted probably another year. Or, how many missed opportunities. And she's a speaker and she wrote a book. So she has plenty of opportunities to really help more people. But this fear is in her way, right? And I kind of just mentioned it to her and I said, actually, I think this is kind of what's been stopping you. And if she enrolled yesterday or whatever that day is, then it would have been one price. And if she would have waited, it would have been a different, but it's the same rules across the board with anyone. But I love how you say persuasion is more like being an influence on someone. It's like you're giving them a drop of alcohol, right? Alcohol gives us an influence of having fun, right? Shameca might turn her hair red if she had a drop of alcohol. I don't know. But I guess that's how I see, persuasion, like you said.
Yeah, influence to me isn't a bad thing. We are influencing people every day, and we are being influenced just simply because of who we are.
Yes.
You know, I wake up every morning, if I post something on Facebook or if I walk out of my house and I come into contact with 2 or 3 people, some way, somehow, I have an influence on them or some sort of effect on them. So just the sheer fact that you're having a conversation with someone, you are already in a position of influence with them.
100% agree. So, does anyone have a question between the difference of persuasion and manipulation that you would like to ask Shameca right now, or just put it in the comments below and we will get to it in a little bit. So, what about real life scenarios where manipulation or persuasion came up for you last week, Shameca? And
last week? I don't know.
Oh, yes, you do. I know you know. Because I think giving some more examples of how these negative type words are actually really positive words and can really help somebody versus like, you know, the woman I was talking to last night, like she missed out on so much in the last year, you know, and it just strung her goal out an extra year just because of wanting to think about her just having the wrong, what you call influence in her life, right? And if you have the right dose of influence, it can really take yourself and your business. Or maybe how has manipulation or persuasion came up for you personally when you were actually influenced?
So I have 2. Let's do one manipulation, one persuasion. So here's one of the things I absolutely cannot stand is when people get me or other people on the phone under false pretenses. Again, it's intent, right? So if your intent is to sell me your services, please be upfront about that. Don't tell me you want to connect. Don't say we haven't talked in a long time. Let's chat and catch up. Because that's not the truth. If your intention is that you know you want to sell me your services, just tell me. Give me the opportunity to let you know if I'm ready to go through your process. When we do things like that, what happens is we don't feel good about it. And then we start asking questions of your sales coaches like Michelle and I. Well, how do I switch the call over from talking about their babies to the sale? Well, you can't because you literally told them you were calling about their baby. So you got to finish that call and maybe you can, schedule another one. So that's a form of manipulation to tell someone, hey, let's chat. Let's talk about your kids. Let's, how have you been doing the last 6 months when you know that you're calling because you have, a new service and you want to share with them what that service is. I say just be upfront.
I say be upfront too. Okay. Number 1, come from the place of truth and be upfront because otherwise you can't get yourself out of a rabbit hole and that is manipulation at its finest and we don't support that. So next.
Not at all. All right. So then persuasion. A lot of times I will share client case studies. I will share their successes, their wins. And oftentimes I'll teach my clients to do the same thing. In the beginning, they feel very like, I don't know if I should do that. They feel kind of like iffy about it. And I'm like, no, this is your way to show your results. And it's also a way for you to highlight your clients and the amazing work that they're doing. Because my clients don't get results just because of me. They are the ones who put in the work. So this is me celebrating them and also allowing the world to celebrate them as well. And so really just wrapping your mind around this is a form of persuading people. This is a form of them seeing your expertise, your credibility, and your results, not from your mouth, because you can say you're great all day long. But if somebody else says you're great or if someone else is getting results using your methods and you can showcase that, that's a great way to persuade people. And there's nothing manipulative about that at all.
I 1000% agree with that too. And I actually do that myself, right? So like I help a lot of accountants learn really how to sell from a place of service and helping people because they don't like sales. And I get it, I mean, who starts an accounting practice thinking you actually had to sell? Not anybody. So I can completely understand, but the fact that they don't normally share stories, but when I talk about the sales course that I have, I say, hear it from other CPAs, enrolled agent accounting professionals. Like I can say it all day long, but if you hear from your counterparts, just like if they were to share the successes they had with their clients as far as hey, you know what? I didn't have to pay Uncle Sam that extra $100,000 this year. I'd be like, can you share that with me, please? So
Exactly.
sharing other clients' stories is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very authentic, and it's very true because it literally comes from their mouth.
Yeah.
Right?
I love it. 100%.
Yeah.
All day. So everybody start doing that.
Yeah, I think if you just start doing that one thing, not only does it help those people, right? Because it's like a win-win for a lot of people, but it really solidifies your credibility too, right? So if you're an accounting professional because you're here because of me today, I mean, that's a great way to show your knowledge and show your credibility without giving away any of your advice or information for free.
Yes.
Right?
And I think it will also sell before you ever get to the point where you're having a consultation with someone. Them seeing your results begins to sell on your behalf before you ever get on the call.
Yep. I love it. Okay, does anyone have any questions about those two things? Oh, wow. We have a big question. So I'm currently working on trying to close business, and I've been working on it for years. There's been multiple turnovers in their company, and there's a new relationship I built that's going well. Everything in the agreement was signed on, but all of a sudden he's gone dark because he mentioned their IT team doesn't think he can integrate with them, and we can. We just need the opportunity to speak with their IT team. So we want to try and incentivize them with a rebate if they start in the third quarter. I don't want to seem desperate, but not sure what else we can do to move forward. Any advice? Well, since we have Shameca here, what do you think about that, Shameca? It sounds like it's a pretty long sales cycle, number one.
Yeah, I'm reading that.
Okay, Shameca is pondering. While Shameca is pondering, if you guys have any other comments, questions, please put them in the comments below. We love engagement at this part of the show. It actually makes it a lot more fun. Also, if you can hit the share button, you know, that share button on Facebook, you can hit that. That would be great. If you like what you're hearing, you can give a heart or a thumbs up for a like, and then just hit the share button. So, Shameca, what do you, it is hot in here. Whew.
Turn on your AC.
Okay.
So the first thing that comes up with me, I always have this thing about the definition of a sale. Like verbal yeses are not sales to me. Even signed agreements that you can't collect on. Until you have like your first deposit or cash, it's not a closed deal. So it sounds like you're still in a sales cycle with this person. It says it was signed off on, but I don't know what that means. If that means they actually signed an agreement, or if they just said you sent a proposal and they said, oh, that would be great. So it sounds like you're not really in at the buying decision portion of this. And you kind of have to make a decision. Do you want to is it worth your time to spend more hours on this, especially if you've been working on this for a long time? Or do you let it go, let it sit, and let them do what they need to do and move on to something else? I personally, I don't know your business, so I can't answer for you, but I don't like chasing people for sales. And so I allow people to come to me. I create containers where they come to me. I would just let them go. But I can't give you advice because I don't know what your business is, and I don't know all of the circumstances.
Yeah. The other thing real quick, Chris, on that too, just to add on to Shameca, because her and I think have the same brain, and we share it, and we don't even need to talk about what each of us thinks, because I would have said the same thing. The only thing I would add, and this comes from raising a lot of money for like my last company, and people saying, oh yeah, I want to invest $100,000 or whatever. Or I'll give you my Fitzy Bar example. The guy said, for the last literally 12 months, he wanted to acquire the Fitzy Bars and keep it going. And it was going to require about $200,000, $250,000. And just like you, Chris, he waited for about a year. And there were a few times where I just said, you know what, I'm willing to walk away from this guy. This is not going anywhere. And, what he told me and what he did were two different things. And just because someone signed a piece of paper, it actually doesn't really mean anything. The only thing that means anything is money. And a monetary money that goes in a bank account actually sits there for a minimum of 3 days and doesn't get withdrawn. Okay? Because money can actually get withdrawn too. So the only thing that really matters is if someone puts, maybe in your situation, I'm not really sure, but something like that might require a good faith deposit, or, for investors, put money in an escrow account, just like if you were buying a house. You put money in an escrow account that is non-refundable unless something in the escrow 30-day process gets dropped, right? So you've got to put some money on the line. Otherwise, it's just not that real to me. So that's my 2 cents. And I walked away from that guy, and he basically didn't have the money, and he was trying to find other investors to come in with him on the deal. So you never know really what someone's saying at the end of the day, and it's really important to just, like Shameca said, let it go and go find someone who really wants to work with you instead of chasing the people that aren't that interested. So, okay, back to the program. But if you do have a question, well, we have a lot of thumbs up and hearts and maybe some funny laughs and cries, so that's really cool. Thanks, guys. And if you have not shared it yet, we would be grateful if you did share it, because Shameca definitely wants to, she loves Facebook. So for the more people that can find Shameca, the better, because she only has goodness to give every single day. She pops up in my feed all the time, and from today, she gets a ton of quotes that she shares out too. So, but let's talk about this thing called the manipulation matrix. It sounds very like a movie, right? But can you see it? Okay. So what do you think of the manipulation matrix, when you hear that? And what do you think on how it could be used? Or do you not even agree with something like this? When you hear, what does that mean to you when you hear that?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm a fan of the manipulation matrix. Here's what I'm a fan of. Tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help you God. Do
you raise your arm and do it under oath?
All of that. That's what I'm a fan of. For me, there's no spectrum of manipulation. Let's not manipulate people. Let's be in service of people. Let's support them the best way that we know how and leave them to make their decisions. I'm a fan of taking a stand for people. So yeah, I will push on my sales calls for sure when I know that I can support someone and I can see that it's fear that's stopping them from stepping forward. I will take a stand for them by all means. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the manipulation matrix.
Okay, neither am I. So that's good. Shameca and I are on the same page. Shameca, when you say take a stand for a client and support them and push them, can you give 3 examples of what that looks like? So everyone listening can understand what taking a stand for someone really means in our world?
Yeah, so for me, let's say I give the price in a sales conversation and the person's just really quiet, or they're very contemplative, or they start crying, right? Or whatever's going on. I just wait for them to come to a resolution. And sometimes that takes a long time. But in uncomfortable situations, human nature is to try to end that state of being uncomfortable. And what I know about the money conversation in sales is if I am to help people step past their comfort zone into what they want to create as their new normal, because what they have now is normal, right? That's their normal. Right. They want to create a new normal. So for me, that would be clients who want, to take their sales into the multiples of 5 figures in their business month by month. Yep. That's new for them. They're comfortable where they are. That's scary. Yep. And so if I know that I want to help them get there, fear is going to enter the situation when it's time for them to say yes. And so I will wait. I know that I have to be even more uncomfortable than they are in that situation, be willing to be even more uncomfortable than they are to get them to the point where they can make a decision. And so I'm willing to do that on their behalf, because I know what it's like to make a yes decision for yourself when you don't know what's on the other side, but you know it's something you want to do. You're just not sure how it's going to turn out.
Right. And here's another point to that. And this is interesting because obviously I work with like a lot of CPAs and they want to make more money, right? So they want to earn more revenue. They want to work with less clients and they want to charge more. But here's the thing. If you can't get yourself to invest in yourself at a higher level, how are you ever going to have someone else pay you more, right?
You're not.
You're not, right? So it's almost like you kind of have to get through this hurdle first on your own before you can have other clients, get past that too. It's like, I'll give you another example, and I mean, you tell me if you're thinking what I'm thinking, because we always think the same thing. But a woman who wants to be an executive coach, right? She wants to help women start their own businesses and get out of corporate. Well, if you can't quit your job in corporate and start your own business and have something successful, how can you have other people follow you in your footsteps if you haven't done it yourself? So I truly believe as well that you have to do something on your own first before you can have other people invest in you at that same level.
I think for me, I agree, but I have a little bit different take on it.
Okay.
And that is because I believe that people can teach you how to do things they don't know how to do.
Okay.
Here's the deal. Like, if you can teach me how to walk on water, I'll pay you to do it. As long as I get the result, I could care less if you know how to walk on water. Right?
If you can get the result, yes.
If you can get the result. So that's why I have a slightly different perspective. But here's what I believe happens when you haven't done it for yourself. That's when it becomes difficult for you to sell because you don't believe in the process.
Right.
It's easy for me to say, hey, it's $30,000 to invest in working with me. It's, $10,000 to work. Like a $10,000 sale for me is probably like a $500 sale for most people.
Right.
Because I've invested $10,000 in myself and my business over and over and over and over and over again without blinking. Right? When I'm talking to someone on the phone who is going through the emotions of making that type of investment or making that type of investment for the first time, I clearly understand what's going on in their mind, and I can help them navigate that decision-making process. It's very difficult for you to do that if you've never been on the other side.
I agree with what you're saying. Yes. We have the same take, except you came and you did the pre-take first. I just went all the way in. Yes, you can teach someone. It's just going to be a little bit harder, right? If you haven't done so yourself. Okay. Yeah. I want to talk about one last thing because your client's interest is your best interest, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're on the same page with this. And once you've identified that what your clients actually need, you can actually start to begin to add value. So when you're listening to a client, and I know you and I have talked about this in the past, what are a few ways in how you add value to them, even on your calls when you're talking to somebody?
Okay, so this might be a little bit different than most people look at it, because people are always like, add value, add value, add value. And here's what I believe and what I know to be true based on my experience is that I can't decide what's valuable for a client. Only they can. They determine the value. And so I can only have my intentions, right? And my intention is to be in service to the people that are on the other end of the phone or across the table from me if I'm talking to them, to be in service of them inside of my own boundaries. Mm-hmm. And so, there's ways you can add value to packages and services that you put together, but in my sales conversations, my intention is to get them to a decision, whether it's a yes or no.
And that's valuable though, right?
Exactly. And I was going to say that's valuable in itself. My process is valuable in itself.
Right.
Because my process is set up to give them an awareness of where they may have blind spots that they may have never looked at before. That's where I look at value. Most people think value is like, let's add stuff. Let me teach them something. No. And oftentimes you're overwhelming them and they can't make a decision because you've given them so much to think about. They're out of decision-making mode and they're trying to figure out how to make it work or how to implement. And so I let them determine the value, but I deliver in service of my clients with my boundaries in place.
Yeah, no, and I love it. So think of Shameca, you've worked with like a CPA before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Accounting professional. Okay. So if you were a CPA or accounting professional and you were having an initial call with a prospect, from your point of view, because you and I have been consumers of their services, mm-hmm. where do you think they could provide value without giving away any information for free to their clients when they're first initially talking on the phone to somebody?
Mm-hmm. So for me, it's great questions that make me go, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. It shows me holes in my process or what I currently have that I wasn't even aware of. They don't have to teach me about it, but just asking me the question and me going, no one's ever asked me that before. Right. That's valuable to me because that also demonstrates I'm talking to somebody who knows their stuff and could add something to my life or to my business that wasn't there before.
Right. So asking really great questions to get to know your clients from a way that other professionals never have done, which typically no one does because us as consumers usually just call and say, oh, how much is it going to cost to do this? Like, we don't even really know what we need when it comes to those services. and that's one of the biggest problems, right? It's like when you go to the dentist and they go and look in your mouth and do x-rays, like you can't diagnose yourself. Yes. Like we can't diagnose ourselves for our financial picture as it relates to our taxes. But, a lot of the accounting professionals think that.
Yes.
So, that's really great. And if you can, let's give them some examples of a question that they should ask us. What do you think? I'll give 2 and you give 2.
I don't know. I'm like, what's a question they could ask me? If I knew, then I wouldn't be saying they could add value to my life by asking me the questions I never thought of.
Well, if I were an accounting professional, I would ask you, so what's the biggest financial challenge that you had in the last 12 months in your business?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because maybe, who gets mail from the IRS?
Ooh, not me.
No? I sometimes do, and even if it's an address change, I'm like, oh my God, what is this, right?
Yeah.
But,
the state of California a lot.
The state of California, the IRS, like whatever it is, it's like this kind of mail freaks us out. So, so that would be a question you could ask. Or, what if an accounting professional actually called their clients and said, what are your goals and dreams for your businesses? Where do you see yourself in the next 12 months? Like, what accountant has ever asked you that?
Right. That's extremely valuable because that means you care. That one of the things I was thinking of is what would add value to me as well is them listening. So many people want to prove how smart they are. They just talk all over you, tell you what you're going to do, even without knowing your situation, or they talk to you as if you don't know things, and there's things you know and there's things that you don't know. So you spend a lot of time listening to them, talk about the basics of things you may know of because they didn't ask enough questions and didn't listen to where are you right now? Where do you want to go? The same kind of questions that you're asking right now are super important, way more than just, did you file your taxes last year or not? Do you have an accounting system? All of that stuff's great, but those questions are amazing.
Yeah, those questions are the most valuable. But again, only your clients can determine and put a value connection to that, right? Because what I value and what Susie across the way values, it might be different. And what Shameca values might be different. Okay, good. That was great. So does anyone have any questions for Miss Shameca or myself? Please put them in the comments below and we will get to them. Shameca, do you have any last words of wisdom or advice for the goals of someone for the next month to work on manipulation or no manipulation and focusing on authentic truth-telling persuasion? We're going to call it that. Authentic truth-telling persuasion and no manipulation.
I think first and foremost, like we said earlier, tell the truth and nothing but the truth. So let go of the fact that just thinking or believing that because you are selling your services to someone, that's somehow manipulation, or they may feel like you're trying to manipulate them. People can sense your intent, and if your intentions are pure, they will be accepted as pure. So if you can just practice allowing yourself to just say, you know, my intentions are pure, and I'm going to reach out to this person because I know that I can help them. I am going to offer my services because I know that it will help them accomplish whatever goal it is that they want to accomplish. You will find that selling becomes a whole lot easier.
Yes. Oh, a whole lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because then it's not like you feel like you're manipulating someone because you wanted to talk to them about their 2-year-old kid and dog, when really you wanted to tell them about your new business and that you've got this like grandiose service or product that's going to change their life. But that was your lead in, when really just coming from a place of truth and really what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to leave them with, Shameca? Because today was a great conversation. It's always fun to have you here on Coffee is for Closers, and it's always fun hanging out with you like once a month. So,
nothing really. Just, guys, sales isn't automatically manipulation. It isn't. Sales is a good thing. It's an amazing opportunity that you get. It's a connection point you get to have with a potential client that allows them to have a gateway to what they truly desire to have in their life. For you guys that are CPAs, people want better finances. They want to live better. They want to have more money. They want to leave a legacy for their family. There's all these things. They want to avoid the IRS. All of these things that they desire to have in their life.
Totally.
That point of sales is the gateway to them getting that.
Yeah, and you know, for all of us taxpayers, we rather pay you guys more than pay the IRS by any means. So,
yes.
We will leave it at that. If you have any other questions, please put them in the comments. I will get to them later. Shameca will get to them later. It was an honor to be here with you today. It was a fun day. Thanks for all the interaction. And again, if you can hit the share button and you liked what we chatted about today, feel free to share it with your friends, because this applies to anyone that owns really a business, or if you're doing sales, or if you're even doing long sales cycles like Chris. So thank you so much. Super long. We don't really suggest that long, but I mean, I get it, because I've been in the same boat with my last company. If it's raising money, or some of the retailers, I mean, gosh, it took like a year from start to finish just to even get on the shelves of the vitamin shop. So I get it. But thank you, Shameca, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Your lighting looks great, and
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks really nice. So
I totally appreciate. Okay, guys, so we're gonna out this real quick before we hang up the phone. Last time we got on the call, I'm like, why does your screen look so much brighter than mine? I have lights. And she's like, don't buy any lights, just wait. And these lights show up at my house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you bought me lights. So my lighting looks amazing.
Yes.
Because Michelle gave me this amazing gift of lighting. So
yeah, it was Shameca's birthday, and she donates and gives 30 minutes of her time every time we hang out, maybe 40 minutes. And I think that's really valuable to every person here, no matter, you know, if you ever want to work with Shameca or not, it's still something that you're going to be able to take away and help someone else. And that's really what this is about. So
yeah, cool.
Thanks, Shameca, for being here.
Thanks, love.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.